Hi everyone, welcome to this edition of the Brocast, where we give you bite-sized bits of best practices to help you be a better leader and a more effective communicator. Each week on the Brocast, I, as your host, Jarrett Bro, pose a question. We put it out to the global community to see what best practices are around the world, and our question this week is, how do you keep your CEO from talking too long in a speech? Again, the question is, how do you keep your CEO from talking too long in a speech? Some interesting observations. Dr. John Bennett says, set rules of engagement with the CEO before the speech. Neen James, who is an outstanding speaker, and I hope you get to see Neen one day on stage, she says, having a plan and an outline discussion with the CEO is critical. Teach them how to pay attention and to focus on their topic, because many of you have seen executives get off topic with side stories very quickly. Pre says rehearsal is preferred. Sometimes providing a few visuals for him or her, the CEO, can help. However, she says that she's had a CEO who could speak for 30 minutes per slide. And that's part of the problem we're trying to fight, isn't it? Ellen says, practice, practice, practice. She says the CEO needs to know exactly what the talking points are and needs to receive feedback if she is adding too much information. Allison says lots of practice, and Irada says write the speech. All interesting observations. Practice is critical. And if they're going to give a speech, they have to realize it has an economic impact through reputation and revenue. So therefore, that's the reason to practice. If you're going to do something, do it right. Put up a TV camera, record their practice. Put up an iPhone, put up an iPad, any device that allows them to record themselves and evaluate themselves is important. Don't give your CEO a new speech every time. Your CEO should have a speech that at least 3/4 of it remains the same every time. Don't put too many slides in. People depend on slides because they don't know their material. Slides can be useful for the audience, especially visual learners, but too many people try to cram too much information on a slide and then talk too much about each slide. Now, when structuring a good presentation, some people mention here talking points. Talking points these days lead to bad ad-libs, and bad ad-libs get long. My preference is to have key elements of the speech that are so well known that the speaker, the CEO, can internalize them and deliver them the same way every time. That means the opening of the presentation has to be internalized word for word. The close needs to be internalized word for word. At the end of that presentation, you have to stick the landing, if we can use that analogy. So an open that is unchanging and a close that is unchanging is great. At the open, don't waste a whole bunch of time going, thank you for inviting me. It's such an honor to be here. I've known Kevin for a long time, and Alice and I have been best friends, and I love our kids go to school. No, nobody cares about that. Hit the audience between the eyes with information, or hit them and hook them with a great opening story. In the speech, stories are more important than facts. People retell stories. People don't bring up facts unless you've got a great analogy to go with that fact. The structure of a good speech, great open, great close, and in the middle, 3 main points. What are the 3 main points? If somebody was holding a gun to your head and asked, what are the 3 main points of the speech? You have to be able to tell them. Each one of those points should have a great story. That story should evoke an emotion of either laughter or tears. So story, laughter or tears, point. Story, laughter or tears, point. Story, laughter or tears, and make a point. That's the structure of a great speech, and practice it with your CEO. If you need help with those speeches, call me. I'll be happy to come in and work with them. Thank you for your observations this week. Some good points that were made. We're going to be back next week with another great question here on the Brocast. For the broadcast, until next week, I'm Jarrett Bro.